Hello, my name is Sarah and welcome to my bookshelf. Today we are doing a video that's half about reading and half about really not reading. But I don't know. I feel like it's all kind of intertwined. We are halfway through the year. Yay, it's July. 2024 has been really great for me. Usually I get to July and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've wasted like half a year of my life. This sucks. I did not feel that way this year. I've had such a great year, such a great time graduating high school, getting into college, like all this amazing stuff has happened to me. So we are going to do a little mid-year reflection. At the beginning of the year, I made this little sheet and I'm gonna like put a video of it in right here. But I saw it on Pinterest and it's basically split. It's a goal sheet split into 4 parts to make it more manageable. So what I want to do, who I want to be, what I want to have, and how I want to live. And then I have, just basic goals for each of those. And then I have smaller habits broken down at the bottom to kind of help me achieve those. So what we're going to do today is go through these and take a look, write it down in my bullet journal, what I have accomplished, what I haven't accomplished, where I'm going from here, all of that good stuff. And then maybe adding a couple goals now that I've kind of taken a step back, reevaluated my life, and all of that good stuff. So I think this is going to be really, really helpful for me. And then after this, I'm going to do a reading wrap up of the last 4 months because I forgot to do one 2 months ago. So we have quite a few books to talk about as well. It's going to be a pretty long video. Feel free to skip around and just hang out. Yeah. Okay, so the first category that we're going to look at is what I want to do in 2024. First on that list is go to college. Obviously, I haven't started school yet, but I have everything prepared to start school. I've been to orientation, got a bunch of scholarships. I'm all ready. So far, I'm gonna say that I'm really working toward that goal. My habit was to spend 30 minutes a day applying for scholarships, which I didn't end up doing because it was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. I was really worried. But I'm going to say that I am successfully working toward attending college this fall. Next on the list is go to Spain. That was what I wanted for my graduation. I really wanted to do an exchange year in Spain, but that didn't end up happening for me. But we actually have our tickets bought and booked. I'm leaving in 2.5 weeks. That's crazy. Like, that was such a big goal of mine, was to travel internationally. And my habits were get a passport, or steps, get a passport, which I've done, and then practice Spanish, which I've been doing a lot more. I've been watching a lot of TV shows and movies in Spanish. I, do my Duolingo very diligently. So I'm gonna say that that's another successful time working toward that goal. And I definitely feel a lot more confident in my Spanish, which I'm very proud of. Okay, number 3 on my list is audition for the Golden Girls, which is Mizzou's Palms dance team. I didn't end up doing that this year. I decided that would be way too much, and I think I said in a very recent video that I work out and I dance just for fun. Putting too much pressure on myself takes so much of that fun out of it, and it makes me kind of miserable. So I do want to audition for the club dance competition team, not just the recreation team, if I can, because I do really enjoy dancing and spending time on that. I feel very proud when I am competing, and it's a great feeling. but the Golden Girls just was not for me this year, but that's okay. It's okay to step back, reevaluate. But for my habits, I wanted to stretch and condition daily, which I'm currently doing for club dance. So I am still implementing those habits into my life. I think that's a win. Okay, fourth on the list, graduate high school. I did that. That was super great, super fun. I graduated about a month ago, and I've been living it up ever since. I had such a fun time at graduation. I got to sit next to a friend of mine. We just chatted the whole time. It was really nice. Threw my cap up, the whole 9 yards. I did it. So I can say we checked that off. After that, we have get all A's and B's, which is for both last semester of high school and my first semester in college. I actually have to get all A's and B's to stay in the honors college and the J school. So this isn't really a goal I can mess around with, but I did get all A's in my last semester of high school. So I'm gonna say, succeeded in the first half of the year. We're gonna keep it going strong for first semester of college. Lastly, for want to do, we have read, knit, and exercise more. And my habit for that was to plan more effectively, to keep my to-dos organized, to allow myself to do that. And I think that's the more important underlying habit, is the time management, not so much the spending time with my hobbies, but making the time to do my hobbies. And I can say that I have read and exercised a lot more in the past 6 months than I ever have in my life. I'm way ahead on my reading goal for the year. I've read a lot of very large, very complex books that I didn't think I would be able to get through very quickly. But like I said, the biggest thing is that I have prioritized a lot recently, and I've been making time for me to read and to run and relax, which I'm very proud of myself for. So I'll say that is a success as well. Okay, our next category is what I want to have. This is definitely the smallest category, and it's really not very physical. A lot of the things are more abstract. You'll see. We'll just get into it. The first thing on the list is the one physical thing, and that is a cute dorm. Which for me, my environment is such a big influence on my mood and my productivity, so it's really, really worth it for me. And I have been making some money, buying things, trying to, get everything organized and together so that I can really feel at home in college. Yeah, I am definitely working toward that. Next up, we have healthy friendships / relationships. This one, how do I put this? I've definitely grown a lot closer with my family over the past couple months, so that has definitely been a plus. I've been making it a priority to spend more time with them. For sure, I have improved in that aspect. Friends is difficult because after graduating high school, everybody kind of starts going their own separate ways. So I think it's okay that I'm focusing more on my family right now, and hopefully I can meet a really good group of friends in college. Next on the list is a job I enjoy. Right now, I'm a substitute camp counselor, so I just come in when I'm needed. And I do have a job lined up for myself in the fall at Mizzou. This has actually been quite a struggle as well for me. I worked a food service job for a week, and I hated it so much. I quit immediately, couldn't do it. It's just not for me. But I do have jobs, and even though they're small, they are mighty, and I do enjoy them, and they make me money, you know? They're serving their purpose, so I'm okay with that. Sorry if there was a lighting change or angle change. There's more incredibly loud vacuuming that I allowed you to not hear in the background. Okay, so we left off on my last goal of what I want to have, which is time for myself. And I have a lot of that this summer. But also during the school year, I did a lot of scheduling, a lot of planning, doing work early in order to have time for me. That's very important for me. I am definitely an introverted person. I need my alone time to recharge. It just makes me a better person. But I have definitely been scheduling time to do self-care, to do my hobbies, all that good stuff. Our next category is who I want to be. This one is a little more personal, but it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna go there. The first point is kinder to everyone. I wanted to think more before speaking and also practice self-love. And I have been trying to be more happy, more kind to myself. And I've noticed that that's made a huge difference. When I feel better about me, I treat other people better too. You know, it's the golden rule. Treat people how you want to be treated. And if you feel like you deserve more, you're going to give that back. Next up, I said I want to be a good student, and I mean, not to toot my own horn again, there's obviously always room for improvement, but I am pretty good. I pay attention, I do my work on time, I do really care about school and my grades, so I did a really good job for my last semester of high school, but that's a pretty easy semester. I'm hoping to continue that energy into college. I know it's going to be more difficult, but I'm here to work on it. Next we have, I want to be more healthy in mind and body. Some of the habits for that were, you know, move daily and find movement that I enjoy, which I have. I pretty much do something every day. I do take rest days, but I always do a workout, or I'm dancing, or yoga. It doesn't have to be a lot, and that has really helped me, is giving myself that mindset of a little movement or calm movement is better than nothing, right? And I have definitely seen an improvement in my energy levels, my mood. My skin is so much clearer. I drink a lot more water, and I sleep a lot more and a lot better. I'm very proud of this. And then mentally as well, I have been journaling more and doing stuff like this. I have really been working on my anxiety and coping mechanisms. I'd like to get better at handling very stressful situations, because my anxiety kind of takes over in that. So I think that's something I can try to improve upon for the rest of the year. But also just, you know, keep up with what I've been doing, because I'm really, really happy with that. Okay, and then lastly for this is more faithful. And for my habits, this one I did set a strict goal for, and I think that's the reason why I didn't accomplish it. I wanted to do a rosary 3 times a week, which, if you don't know, if you're not Catholic, a rosary for me takes about 20 minutes to do, which is really nice when I like have a 20-minute break and I'm like, this is great, this is what I need to do. It's a wonderful block of time. But trying to do that 3 times a week just felt a little overwhelming for me. and it made it into like a mindless, like, oh, this is just something I have to do. I think I might edit that maybe to 1 time a week, or just say that I want to spend time, spend devotional time every day, no matter what that looks like, because it is going to be different every day. Okay, we have got our last little category to go through, and that is how I want to live. This one is also pretty short, pretty small category, so we'll go through this pretty quickly, I think. First is wake up early. I haven't been doing that much this week because I've had a crazy past 2 weeks, but for the most part, even into this summer, I've been going to bed at 11 and waking up at 7 every morning. And obviously I woke up early every morning for school. I really want to, after this week, actually probably starting tomorrow, get back into my 11 to 7 sleep schedule, because that is what I based my class schedule around for my first semester. I have my first class every day starting at 9 or 9:30, so that I have time to wake up, work out if I want, or get homework done before class. But I'm definitely a morning person. But yeah, I think I feel pretty accomplished with waking up early. Next up, I have procrastinate less. This was a big issue of mine. I am a perfectionist and therefore a procrastinator. I find it so hard to start big tasks. I want everything to be perfect, but if there's so many different steps, it's just overwhelming for me. And I still am struggling with this. I feel like I definitely procrastinate less than I did like 2 years ago, when I would like put things off forever and just not do them. But I am still a pretty bad procrastinator. I either do things really early, right when I get the assignment, right when it's on my to-do list, or kind of not at all. So that goal is gonna stay. And we're gonna keep working on her a lot. The third bullet point is spend time with family and friends, and I kind of went over this earlier. I have been spending a lot more time with my family. It's been really nice. It's become harder and harder for us to all see each other, but we've all been making a good effort this year. And that's been making me really happy. I've been spending time with my grandparents a lot more, and I hope to keep that up. And then spending time with friends. I mean, like I was saying, friends are hard after high school, but I do have my best friend that I didn't mention earlier. She's great. We talk, we hang out, and that makes me so happy. The last bullet point on my want to live is volunteer more. This is big for me. I've always been a big volunteerer. I used to do it through this theater organization that I was the president of. I really want to pick that up again. I definitely need to volunteer more. But there are still things I do. I volunteered at a theater camp this summer for my school. I volunteered in a 4th grade classroom every single day. For my whole second semester, and both of those things just gave me so much joy. They were really fulfilling. So I haven't done as much this summer. I need to pick back up on that. It's kind of a little parabola of volunteering recently, but hopefully I'll be able to make time for that more this summer and in college. Welcome back. Outfit change. It's a new day. I was really trying to do all of the filming 2 days ago when I did my little reflection, but it was the 4th of July, and my family was getting ready to have a little party. They were vacuuming. It was so loud. It was crazy. You probably heard a little bit of that already in that portion of the video. So I decided to wait until now. It's Saturday morning. My dad is asleep. My mom and brother are at an airport. So I think we're good. We're golden. The only thing I can hear right now are some pretty obnoxious birds in that tree behind me, but that's okay. So now we've got my reading wrap up. Everything I read from the beginning of March to the end of June. I've got a decent sized stack of books on the floor and a little notebook with some notes for me. We're just gonna talk about the books, obviously no spoilers, as per usual. Yeah, get back on track, and then I promise, I'm gonna keep up with my not bi-monthly, but every other month reading wrap-ups. Okay, so the first book I read in March was The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. I gave this 3.75 stars, we'll say. That's what I put down here. On Goodreads, I think I rounded it up to 4, but I don't know. The longer I'm away from this book, the less I like it. It didn't really leave that big of an impression on me. I was reading through my review and I literally wrote, I loved cinnamon, but I couldn't care about anyone else. And I was like, who is Cinnamon? My favorite character of the whole book, and I forgot about him. And his name was literally Cinnamon. Like, how forgettable does a book have to be? You know? But I did like the book. It's Murakami. Obviously, the writing was really beautiful. Lots of good stuff about dreams and consciousness and, you know, time. Always so fun. Always, like, this was a fun book. Ow. I just, like, split my skin. That hurt. This was a fun book. One thing I do remember writing in my review, and that I do remember from this book, was I said, I wish any single storyline had been followed all the way through. And this I will stand by. This is the hill I will die on. There were so many storylines and characters and things introduced in this book only for them to go nowhere or to be followed halfway through and then nothing happens. I wanted more from, is her name May? Just everyone. I wanted a finished, fleshed out story. And this book didn't seem to want to give an ending to anything. So that was my biggest gripe with it. Maybe it is a 3-star for me. I don't know. We'll say 3.5. 3.5. That was The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. On a much more positive note, next I read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This was absolutely a 5-star read. It was devastating and felt like the entire time I was reading it, felt like opening up a makeup compact and looking in a mirror. Like it was staring at me the whole time. This book has eyes. This book has eyes. And it was staring at me the whole time I read it in a good way, in the best way possible. It made me do a lot of reflecting, a lot. And I think that's so important because this book deals not only with overt racism and police brutality and that really, really terrible part of our country and our country's history, but then there's also a lot of discussion about microaggressions and the things that are less obvious, especially to white people, but are still racist, are still affecting people of color. And that was a lot of what really got to me, was the people committing these microaggressions were people like me, like Star's boyfriend at some points, like people just trying their best, and you can't always be 100% perfect, right? Like you're gonna make a mistake. I make mistakes a lot, and the characters in these books make mistakes a lot trying to get it right. But as Star learns, as all the characters learn, no matter what your race is, you can't get it right. Like there's no right way. You just have to keep trying. And yeah, this book is brilliant. It's a brilliant YA novel that touches on real world things, and people the age of these characters in real life have to experience racism like this, so it should be represented in books. Absolutely. I think everyone should have to read this book. It was beautiful. 5 stars. The next book I read, another 5-star, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Jane Eyre is the story of a young girl. You follow her as she grows up. She's very spiteful. Religion has always been used against her to tell her that she's a terrible person, that she shouldn't do this, she shouldn't do that. She has no parents. She's in a terrible, terrible situation. And then one day at school, she goes away to school, she meets this young girl named Helen, who opens her eyes to the goodness that can come from religion if you use it the right way. And the rest of her life she spends becoming a better person, a better Christian, to be the best, most helpful, kindest person she can be, even though she keeps going through these tragic situations. And she's fallen in love, but there's some issues with that go completely against her morals. And she's only 18, right? And reading this as an 18-year-old who, like, within the past 2 years has really started to grow in my faith in Christianity, thinking about it in much different terms now that I'm older and can kind of conceptualize that. I related to Jane more than I've ever related to a character in any book ever, period. She is so human. It's amazing. Really, really good. 5 stars. Alrighty, the next book I read, this one was in my reading blog, Books on the Beach, and that is Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman, or Ackerman, I don't know. Sorry. This book is very good. It's very good. I also said on Goodreads that this was a 5-star book, and it might also be closer to 4. But I don't know. This book is heartbreaking, but this book is, yeah, it's about so much more than a love story between 2 guys who are dealing with internalized homophobia. Like, nobody in their life is externally, explicitly homophobic, right? But they still feel a lot of pressure. But they manage to build a friendship and a relationship through that. It changes their life. It really, really does. This book does not underestimate being a teenager. It doesn't underestimate how those first loves and all of that really do change you as a person, whereas some books kind of brush it off. They're like, oh, you know, then you grow up and you get over it. This book doesn't. It takes it seriously. It takes Elio seriously. All of his pains, all of his triumphs, and I think that's really important. There were gross parts in this book for sure. They were gross. One in particular, I really did not think needed to be there. Did not want to read that. But a lot of it is just to show that these characters are so human. And they are so affected by this time in their lives. So, yeah. 4.5 stars for Call Me By Your Name. Okay, this one's gonna be rough. This one I could get... I have some opinions, and that is House of Leaves, which for me was a 3-star book. People swear by this book. Swear by it. They think it's like... People love this book. I wish I could be people. But I'm not. Let's start with the good stuff. This book made me nauseous in a good way because of all of its descriptions, its horror, all the twisting and turning of the pages you had to do. It had a physical effect on me. Like I pick this book up, I feel nauseous. I want to vomit, right? Which is really impressive. It's by Mark Z. Danielewski. But for Danielewski to be able to write something that is so physically affecting, very impressive. And I've heard that a lot of people feel dizzy, they feel unsteady while reading this. And that is nothing to be scoffed at. Now, I am not a fan of footnotes. Personally, I do not like footnotes. I hate footnotes when they are 15 pages long, completely take you out of the story, and are about a different character that I don't care about at all. I did not care about Johnny. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. Sorry. Like, it was okay. It was 3 stars. It's 3 stars. Up next, completely different vibe, we have Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Melors. This one is about a girl in her 20s. She meets a guy in her 40s one night on New Year's Eve. It's just like a little happenstance, and then they decide to get married. This book, I think I also gave 3.5 stars. I really liked the beginning of this book. It had such a strong start. The characters were so real. The dialogue was some of the most witty, realistic, hilarious dialogue I've ever read, ever. And then the book continued. My favorite part of this book was the sugar glider that was named in sign language. And the only thing they knew in sign language was, "Oh Jesus, how I adore you," from like a Bible camp. That was hilarious. I was laughing out loud every single time that came on the page. Halfway through this book, all the characters became disgustingly unlikable. I could not care about them. I hated them. I hated them all. And it wasn't even like a slow de-evolution into, like, it kind of was for some of them. It really just felt like they were changing just for the sake of the characters changing. Like, they were completely different people. And for Cleo and Zoe, like, it kind of made sense. They're young, they're figuring themselves out. And I understand that the book is also saying you can be 45 when you figure yourself out. Like, it's a process. I get that. But it just felt like there was nothing, like, that's real life. Yes, but in a book, you have to keep people invested and interested in the characters. And that's so hard to do if they aren't the same characters anymore. You know, it just, I didn't care halfway through. But the writing was really good. The dialogue was amazing. And it was the first half was a fun read. Next, I do not have a physical copy of this book. I read The Martian by Andy Weir, I think, or Weir. This book I gave 4.5 stars. I read it for my novels and short stories class. This book was so good. I loved The Martian. It was such a good time. It was funny. It was compelling. It was exciting. Everything. Everything I wanted it to be. If you just want a good time, a fun read, something that's gonna get you invested and like in love with a book, read The Martian. The characters are so real. They're so funny. Oh my gosh, Mark, I could listen to him talk all day long. All day long. Hilarious. But on top of that, it is so positive and inspiring. Like, this guy, he really keeps going. He really perseveres, no pun intended. And so do the people on Earth, and they all work together. The last page of this book broke me. Like, I was like crying happy tears because the last page, it's not really a spoiler. I'm not going to say anything like word for word or go too in depth, but the last page talks about the goodness of humanity. How after, years away from them, Mark still believes that humans are good, that they want to help each other. Bawling like a baby. It's so inspiring, so uplifting, and it gives you hope. It gives you a lot of hope. So that was The Martian, 4.5 stars. Amazing book. Next up, we have Children of Dune by Frank Herbert. This is the third book in the Dune saga. You can see she's a little beat up. I think this has been my favorite book in the series thus far. I did really like the first book, didn't care for the second. This book was really good. I am a sucker for like a twin dynamic in books because obviously, like, I grew up in the early 2000s. I love a sci-fi fantasy book with like a twin dichotomy. Amazing. Gets me every time. I'm hooked. These twins were so cool too. So the story is, these are Paul Atreides, the main character. They are his children. It was exciting. It was an exciting book. The second book, nothing really happened. This book, a lot of stuff happens. It's fast-paced, it's interesting. The settings, the actions, it's going. That's really all I have to say. It's hard to talk about a third book in a series without giving any spoilers for the first two. I really love this book. What did I give it? What did I rate it? I think I said 3.75 stars. Yeah, that's about right. The one thing about the Dune books, can any relationship in these books just be normal? Please? Like, if you've read it, you've read it, and you know. If you haven't read it, just be prepared. What? Any single relationship in this book, can it be normal? The last and most recent book I read was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Casey. Whoa! This book was really good. I really liked it. One of my friends has been telling me to read this for years, and I was like, it's an American classic. I hate American classics. I'm gonna hate this book. I'm not gonna care. And I opened it up and immediately got scared because it was in first person point of view with like a very distinct voice. I was like, oh, stop. I hate this about American classics. I hate when the narrators are like gross men. No. This book was amazing. This book was so good. Made me rethink everything. I love this book. I love how it talks about what our narrator calls the combine, which is, just like expectations of American society and how that is seen through the eyes of somebody that does not fit into that combine. That discussion is amazing. The talk about the line between madness and sanity. Where is it? It doesn't exist, right? It does not exist. It was really good. It took me about like 30 or 40 pages to really get into, though, I'll say that. But the ending was brilliant. It was a masterpiece. It had me it was so affecting emotionally. This book makes you think. It makes you think a lot about yourself, about institutions, and what they do. So I really loved it. One thing I did not love about this book was its treatment of women, which is another reason I don't really like American classics. So basically, all women in this book are treated as sex objects. All of them. Even the middle-aged nurses. One of which, actually all the nurses, are repeatedly harassed and sexually assaulted by a man who is not actually insane. And it is glorified. It is glorified not just from that character's perspective, but from all the characters, and it seems like from the author's perspective. And this happens numerous times where women are abused, are harassed, and the dudes, they love it. They eat it up. That just really didn't sit right with me at all. So just a warning, if you are like sensitive to that or sexual assault in general, there is sadly a lot of it in this book, which for the time in a mental hospital was very realistic, sadly. But the stuff about the patients talking about and assaulting women, didn't like that. What did I give this book? I gave this book 4 stars. Yeah, it was so affecting. 4.25 stars, sorry. It was very affecting. I really enjoyed it. Very thoughtful and thought-provoking. But let's show some respect to women. Okay, those were the 9 books I read in the past couple months. I'm in the middle of literally 4 books right now. So I've been reading big books a lot slower recently. So my next wrap up should be pretty good. Lot of good stuff in there. But thank you for listening to this wrap up. I hope you enjoyed my little 6-month reflection too. Maybe it gave you some inspiration to do your own or for your goals for next year. I hope you got something good out of that. That's the goal anyway. With that being said, thanks again for hanging out. If you enjoyed, maybe like and subscribe. I don't know. That would be cool. And feel free to stop by my bookshelf anytime. I'm always here. That's all. Take care of yourselves. Bye.